Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And in today's video, we're going to be reviewing the most optimal gearing path and progression for the final season of The War Within. So if you want to make sure that you're min-maxing your stat gains week to week and for the end game, then this is the route that you are most likely going to want to be following. And there are some new additions to this patch to take into account with your calculations, and you can make the assessment whether or not you actually want to make some of these commitments, because I do think that they will be worth it in the long run. And as always, if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Let's just get the elephant out of the room here. This is the biggest question that I get every single day on my stream is, do you need to get the Rishi Wraps? The Rishi Wraps are a new, basically artifact weapon style cloak that is coming in with season 3, and they will upgrade week to week with power. Now, I do think that getting the Rishi Wraps are worth it. At their final stage of upgrading, their item level is slightly higher than that of the Conquest gear. Not so much so that you really need to do it, but I do think that it is if you want to be 100% min-maxed, and they come with extra benefits. The first benefit is that the cloak is free. You don't have to spend conquest, and you don't have to spend bloody tokens, which are vital currencies to progress your character's power week to week and to stay ahead of other players and have an advantage to smash them. So I would recommend it for those reasons, and not to mention that you can customize the stats. You can see currently I have 1700 haste on my Rishi Wraps. That's because of the pure chronomantic fiber that I have gotten, which you can craft at the crafting station where you craft all of your other gear. You're going to be crafting sockets instead for this, and you just search for the word pure on the crafting table and it'll show up, and you can pick what stat you want. So it's really nice if you want to be playing alts or alternate specializations, you know, like with mage, for example. Maybe not the best example, but something like a priest. Shadow priest wants haste, but discipline priest wants mastery. So I can get this cloak for free, not spend conquest and not spend bloody tokens, and I can switch the stats so I can play 2 specs at the same time. So this gives you quite a big benefit, as well as a little bit of an item level boost. There may be some weeks through the season, though, where this cloak is technically weaker by some item levels because it only upgrades by so many ranks. And how you get this cloak is that you'll have a campaign quest in Dornegal in the main city. You're going to be adventuring into Koresh, and you want to complete the entire campaign. And you also want to complete a quest that looks like this purple triangle after you've completed the campaign. I think it's like 2 quests. You'll go to the purple triangle on the map, complete that, complete one after it, talk to the NPC to get your Rishi Wraps, upgrade them. You don't have to PvE anymore after that point. You can PvP to get the currency to upgrade it week to week. And I basically got it from PvP in like less than 5 minutes, and my cloak was fully upgraded for the week. And so I'd imagine that's going to likely stay the same. So you only have to do the campaign once. You only have to do this purple quest once, and then you log on an alt. You start the campaign, you can press skip once you get to Koresh, and then you can just immediately go pick up your cloak, upgrade it to max, put a socket in, and it gives you a really nice kind of little catch-up piece of gear that you don't really need to worry about. So, you know, for about an hour and a half of doing quests while you're in your shuffle queue anyways, you get a really strong cloak that's great for re-rolling to different specs and will definitely accelerate your gearing progression. So I would recommend to get it. People have been asking me, do you have to? No. Do I think it's going to be the end of the world? Like, you won't be able to get the goals that you want to get in PvP if you don't get it? No. But if you want to just be the most optimal, then yes. Once you've gotten this cloak, you're going to definitely want to make sure that you've farmed some honor. I still got to do a little bit more honor farming. I think I've got more on other characters. Main reason for this is that your honor is going to stay. It's not going to reset. So on Tuesday, you'll be able to come into this building. Likely this building. We don't know if there's going to be a new PvP vendor or not, but I would think it's highly unlikely. And you're just going to be able to go to the Honor Quartermaster and pick up all of your gear. Now, obviously, you pick based on best stat plus versatility. So for mage, haste plus versatility. And that's going to be dependent on what specialization that you're playing. So you're going to want to look at those independently to decide which pieces of gear to go after. But you're going to slot all this in. Obviously, you can skip out on buying the cloak because we got the Rishi Wraps. So that's a nice little bonus on top of that. Once you've got the full honor gear, it's really important that you go to this quest giver over here in Dornegal at the front entrance. He's a PvP quest giver, and he gives a whole bunch of different ones. You're going to want to get the Sparks of War because this is just a really effective way of getting your bloody token cap done for the week, and it's going to be giving you access to Sparks in order to gain access to transforming your gear into tier gear. So this is like the most important engine every week to get, and bloody tokens will accelerate your item level very early on. You'll basically have full epic gear probably in 2, maybe 3 weeks, as a result of making sure that you're staying up on this quest, getting your bloody tokens week to week. And you can do these other quests if you want to, if they're associated to the activity that you like to do, whether it's battlegrounds or arenas. It's going to be a little bit of an accelerated way of getting your honor and conquest cap if you don't want to start out right away in rated PvP. But he's a really important guy for that reason. Now, as you randomly win PvP matches, you will be awarded something in the mail that will give you basically a bunch of items to craft gear. And those items to craft gear can be used at this vendor. They'll be called Astral Gladiators Heraldries, likely is my expectation. And you'll get those for free after you've won a few games. And it's really important to pay attention to when you've won those games and you've got it in the mail, because that's 2 pieces of free gear. You don't have to spend conquest, you don't have to spend bloody tokens, and they have your embellishments on them. So you'll be able to get these added effects. So these are really powerful items to pay attention to whenever you're playing rated PvP and you get that box in the mail. Come here, pick these up, craft your gear the same way that you have been at the crafting table for the previous seasons. Again, pick the missive with the stat allocation that you want for your spec, whether it's haste verse, mastery verse, and so on. And that's going to be a really big pickup. So generally, I think I went for rings because they were reasonably inexpensive. Although sometimes if you really want to get like an item level jump start, you can pick a main piece of gear that isn't your tier gear. So for example, I have gloves here. I could have crafted gloves in a ring early season, and it would give me a huge item level boost that I have a main slot epic piece of gear that didn't cost conquest, didn't cost bloody tokens. So you could go that route. And then later on switch it and craft it, because for the first couple of weeks it'll give you a nice edge, but later on you may want to swap it out depending on if there were gloves that had better stat allocation. But those are your routes. You can either go for jewelry, or you can go for one main set piece that isn't going to be your tier set bonus plus a piece of jewelry, and it's going to be up to you whether you want the early season advantage and have to spend a little bit of gold to correct it later, or just have the late game advantage earlier on. Next one is a bloody token vendor. The way that you want to purchase gear from this vendor is that you're likely going to want to avoid weapons, because you're going to get a weapon for free after a few weeks. Everyone in the game will. So you likely want to avoid weapons. What you want to do is pick up pieces that have your best in slot stats. So for example, this has crit, so we wouldn't want it for our mage. Crit, we wouldn't want it, but hey, look, the wrists have haste verse. That's my best in slot stat combination. So going after the wrists is definitely a good idea. And you just look at it, okay, the boots also have haste, and we don't need to worry about the cloak. So I can get the boots, and I can get the bracers from the bloody token, and I can get the helmet also if it's unrelated to tier. And I decided to go the double jewelry route. That could be an option, but the bloody token is supposed to be supplements to this gear. Buy the pieces that have your best stats first from it, and then you can, if you don't have gloves or whatever, you can get the gloves of mastery temporarily as a filler, and pick kind of your second best off stat week to week, because the item level jump is going to be a lot from honor gear to the bloody token gear. So even wrong stats might be good, but obviously you want to make sure you're picking the best stats first and then picking the second best secondary stats afterwards, and that's going to put you in a really solid spot. It's basically going to be getting you, when the season starts tomorrow, you're going to have the Rishi Wraps, you're going to do some PvP, and instantly be able to upgrade it another, I think 6 or maybe 12 item level. At that point, it may not be competitive with the honor gear. That's why I say you're going to keep it in your bag and maybe switch it out with honor gear as it goes on, because it may need to level up. Right now it's better than the prized gear, but may not be better than the honored gear at full upgrades. But you do want to keep it around as you're gearing up week to week, and you don't have to do any PvE after you've gotten it. Rishi Wraps will be unlocked there. You're going to pick up the quests, you're going to get the bloody tokens, pick up the bloody token gear, rated PvP content. It's going to have a chance to give you crafted gear. You're going to slot in 2 pieces of crafted gear, so you're probably going to get a bloody token piece, 2 pieces of crafted gear. You have the Rishi Wraps upgraded, and you're going to be able to pick up a conquest item as well. So you're going to be 6 pieces of gear basically on day one that are epic pieces that by following this structure. So would highly recommend it. It's going to be what I'm doing moving forward. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know a lot of people were asking questions about a gearing guide, what to do. So I wanted to make sure that you guys had this. I'm going to be doing tier list updates as well, because obviously there's class changes and viability and power of specs is going to be changing, I think, a lot. That's why it's really important to stay up to date with everything that's going on by smashing that subscribe button. Hashtag sellout. Hashtag shill. Hashtag thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.